and spent a couple of weeks off the Nefesh Hachaim and talked about the mahus of the Neshama as best as we can. Ad Mokim Shiadenu Magas, what is the Neshama? We spoke a lot about that, but I think it's useful information to see what he's trying to teach us here. He says as follows, let's look inside a little bit. Amnon lahavin ikare shel inyan ha-tosefes v'ribui bracha b'ha'olamos ha'yidei ma'aseh ha'adam. That if we want to truly understand what does the actions of a person do to participate and to add into bracha into this world and into the world's ha'olamos ha'yonos. I'm sorry.
E's capital too.
Okay. What does man have to do with the worlds? Meaning, there's the worlds. Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya is the world that we live in, and then there's our maisim. How could our mitzvahs possibly help? How could our chesed possibly help? What does it do? What's the connection in terms of bracha? To understand what is the essence of tzarech ha'olamos is that why do the upper worlds or the higher worlds or the world, what does it gain from our actions? So, Hinei Chazal Amru, the Gemara says in Brachas as follows: Hani chamisha barchi nafshi keneged mi amrin David. David HaMelech said 5 times barchi nafshi es Hashem, barchi nafshi es Hashem 5 times. And the Gemara says, why does he say it 5 times? He was referring to 5 against 5. In other words, 5 for Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Neshama. And I want to explain this, but let's just... There's 5 similarities, the Gemara says, between Hashem and our Neshama. The Neshama is Malay Kol HaGuf. Kadosh Baruch Hu is Malay Kol HaOlam. Ma Hashem Roya Ve'eno Nira Af HaNeshama Roya Ve'eno Nira. Just like you can't put your finger on a Neshama, it won't show up on an X-ray. You won't find it under a microscope. And we explained at length that Neshama is not, by process of elimination, the Neshama is not what we think it is, what many people think it is. Many people think of the Neshama as the difference between life and death. That's not true. We know that a Russia could be alive and could be considered dead as far as the Neshama goes. We know a tzaddik could be dead and still be alive. Life and death, at a biological level, has not to do with the Neshama, it has to do with the Nefesh. The Nefesh is alive, the Nefesh is dead. Im ruchi gviyasi might have to do with the Ruach. If my ruach is still in my person's breathing, ruchi. Neshama is nefesh, ruach, neshama is something else. So it's not the difference between life and death. It's not, we learned, my emotional intelligence or my emotional state of being, happy, sad, in pain, having tainug. That has to do with the nefesh. It's not my psychological sense of being. That has to do with my ruach. What's the neshama? So the Neshama is Roya Ve'ena Nira. The answer is we don't know what the Neshama is, because as much as we know it's there and we know characteristics of the Neshama, and we spoke about the characteristics of the Neshama, that a person is automatically yearning, a person is automatically thinking of higher things. The Neshama, as I said yesterday, the Neshama, we were born to serve. The Neshama was given to us because we're meant to contribute to this world. So this brings us right into what we're saying here. The whole reason we could just be a goof. We don't find in Gan Eden that HaKadosh Baruch Hu blew into the nostrils of the rabbits or the squirrels or the bears or the lions. He didn't blow into their nostrils, but they're alive. They're certainly alive. When you kill them, they're dead. But they don't have a neshama as we understand the neshama. They might have some Hasidic neshama, but they don't have a neshama the way we're talking about a neshama. Neshama is a special rider that was given by Yipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chayim, a special rider, which is also connected to the fact that we're B'Tselem Elokim. It's a different thing. And somehow or another, that neshama comes into our goof. Now, David HaMelech, and here let's go into the pshat here. This is where we have to be sophisticated. Baruchi nafshi es Hashem. He didn't say Baruchi Gufi. He didn't say Baruchi Nishmasi, Baruchi Ruchi. He said Baruchi Nafshi. My nefesh is being mevarech as Hashem. And on this, the Gemara says, my nefesh is connecting to my neshama. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, my nefesh is connecting to Hashem. Here the diuk is nefesh here. Baruchi nafshi es Hashem. So just to explain it simply, that we talk about mesirus nefesh. Mesirus nefesh. So what are you being mesir nefesh to? What is mesirus nefesh? So the usual translations would give up our lives. So it's not exactly correct, because as everybody knows, you don't have to give up your life to do something to mesirus nefesh. Mesirus nefesh means I'm moiser my nefesh to my neshama. That's what it means. My neshama is coming from a higher place. It's almost like Hashem. And it gives me a conscience. It gives me a yearning to do something higher, above myself. That's what my neshama does. My nefesh is telling me, do what's good for you. I'm number one. Go to sleep, stay in bed. The nefesh could be taking us to the easiest place, and the neshama is taking us to the highest place. So the mesiras nefesh means that I say, okay, here's my nefesh, which is me. The neshama shenasata bi ta'irihi. There's already a me. The me is the goof and the nefesh and the ruach. That's the bi. Neshama shenasata bi. I'm taking my nefesh and I'm saying, here, neshama, this is for you. Mesiras nefesh. It's something you can do every time you have to get out of bed in the morning. Mesiras nefesh. So the teva of the person is included in the nefesh and the goof. But the nefesh is what really enlivens us and what really makes us who we are, the nefesh. Goof, you could have two people, tipat mayim, people look alike. The nefesh makes us unique. I'm taking my nefesh. It doesn't have to be in physical things. A person is naturally jealous, doesn't want to forget another person. So, mesiras nefesh. I'm taking my nefesh, which has in it kina, and I'm giving it to neshama. Let me go the high road. Let me go the road of the neshama. Neshama shenasata bi tahari. So there's this tahar voice within us, which is called the neshama. This chelak elikai mimal mamish, as the Balatani likes to call it. This is lashon of the Zayar, chelak elikai mimal. Implanted somewhere within us. It's memale kol aguf, by the way. People say by neshama, memale kol aguf, the Gemara says. And baruchi nafshi es Hashem means that my nefesh, I'm willing to give over my nefesh to, I'm giving a bracha. Baruchi nafshi, I'm being mevarech as Hashem, and including this, the Gemara says, the neshama. So what we have here really, let's give it a catch-all phrase. When we talk, David HaMelech could have just as well said Baruchi Gufi, but the goof is not enough. The goof doesn't include the nefesh. He could have said Baruchi Ruchi. I don't know why I didn't. But Baruchi Nafshi means that everything that I am begashmius is being bevarech everything that I am beruchnius. And this is b'chelik min hashamayim, b'chelik min adama.
How do you send Baruchi in that context?
We're going to understand bracha, because we've been talking about bracha for 5 bracha. What does bracha mean? Where does it say that?
What?
Where does it say that?
Every morning before davening. I'll look at the say, Neshama should be mochi.
In the Shiurim for tefillin.
Right.
I skipped that. I come late. It doesn't mean that there's not neshama sheba'baychi. There's also neshama bebitli, belibi, and in other words, bebali kol aguf, the Gemara says before. So there's a part of the neshama sheba'baychi, what I'm doing with my maya. It's not a stira. It's just identifying the chelak.
But isn't the neshama also called as a general thing, and then specific part is called neshama, which is in the ma'ach?
Exactly. That's what I just said. In other words, the neshama can manifest itself in different places, but it's the Gemara says Mabale Kol HaGuf, so you can say neshama shabaragli also. So when we're talking about Baruchi Nafshi, I just want to clarify this because this is very important. We're talking about Baruchi Nafshi or Mesiras Nefesh, same idea. What I'm doing with my Nefesh vis-a-vis my Neshama, which in a way is vis-a-vis HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what the Gemara is telling us. Keneged Chamisha Dvarim. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu Balei Kol Ha'olam, B'af HaNeshama B'lei Kol HaGuf. V'chein Amru, here's some Bekiyas, V'yikra Rabba, Parak Dalas Ibn Ches, U'b'dvarim Rabba, U'b'medrash Tilim, U'b'tikulim, K'may Shabir Abaraya Behebna. He was a Baki in Kabbalah, V'ayin Beitz Chaim, Shaar Pnimis, V'chetzonius Seif Drush Yud Aleph. I remember learning this, by the way, with Rabbi Yaacov Hillel. So this exact parak. So he's a big makubal. So he went through this. V'chein Amru b'vayikra Rabba, Dvarim Rabba, B'raya Behebla, Ayin Beitz Chaim, Shaar Pnimis, V'chetzonius. He says it's not there. Okay, at least he's holding up. See, not there. So I later looked for it. Shaar Pnimis, V'chetzonius, Seif Drush Yud Aleph is not there. It's not there. This gets really exciting here. The Gemara says a halacha, which is paskin in Shulchan Aruch. Kol ha-partzufos mutarim chutz mi-partzuf adam. Important halacha, by the way. In other words, you're not supposed to make statuettes and idols. And so somebody last week had a mailbox which was in the shape of a rabbit with an open mouth taking the mail. So somebody said, "Is this mutter?" So I told them that there's a mutter to have a partzuf, from guy, rabbi, have a rabbit as a mailbox. Like, so I told them the Gemara says, kol ha-partzufim mutter chutz mi-partzuf adam. That the only partzuf which is usher is partzuf adam. So you're not supposed to make, in fact, a sculpture of a human face. That's a halacha. Three-dimensional. It's a similar in Shulchan Aruch. You can't make a full sculpture. It's not the right thing. Well, Mefarish time, and there the Gemara says in Avodah Zarah, Mefarish time, what's the reason that you're not allowed to make the sculpture of a human being, of a face, parts of a human being? Dichsiv, Leisasun iti elikei zav elikei zahav. Funny lashon. Don't make, Hashem says, don't make. Iti means with me. Elikei zav elikei gaz. And the Gemara says it's iti. The Gemara says Leisasun oisi. Don't make me. Don't make pictures of me. It's impossible to. I just don't make me. Who's making? I'm making a picture of Nicholas V. I'm not making HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What am I? The bust that I'm sculpturing over here has nothing. Wouldn't apply apparently to a photograph or to a painting because it's not three-dimensional. That's the heter. It's a heter.
What about a mask?
It's also not three-dimensional, probably. But another Poskin like the Rogachover, he held that a photograph is this lav of Leisasun iti.
Is this limited to a face of a person who's alive or any face? Like for instance, like a doll for a kid.
Same thing, same issue. But it's not exact. That's the heter.
Uh-huh. So Mount Rushmore.
I was sitting next to the stolen Rebbe Shlita at a wedding. Just because he was sitting in front, and I was sitting in front, not to have any connection. So he was very makpid. Nobody should take his picture. So the photographers and everybody's very machabed this idea not to take his picture. So I said to him, "Is the Rebbe makpid on?" He's an American, but for example, is the Rebbe makpid on taking pictures of Leisasun iti? So he says, "Oh, is there such a hakpada?" So I said, "There's certain places that all." He said, "No, he just doesn't like pictures." I don't like pictures.
You went to yeshiva?
Yeah. So I always have to reintroduce him that we were in 6th grade together and we played handball together. I don't think he likes it one. But chashuv person, he's a big Talmud Chacham. Anyways, but Leisasun iti. So the question is, what can the Gemara possibly mean that you're not allowed to make? The Gemara is learning from a pasuk, this Isser of making a sculpture of a head bust of a person because it looks like Hashem. What makes it look like Hashem? How can anything look like Hashem? V'chein mashrim b'zayar seif amid aleph ein shama b'reishis Rabba Amar Ksiv ki yesh adam shamalei b'chachma Amar Reb Yudin gadol koichen shel neviim. It goes further than that. Gadol koichen shel neviim. Look what the neviim were able to do. Neviim, Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, Yechezkel. Look what they were able to do. Shemedamin surah liyotzro, when they were able to explain their nevuahs in human terms. So they're explaining. I mean, you see, Harisi Kisei, Va'olav ala Kisei, like that. They were talking about very, very high things, and they put it in terms that we could understand. So, Reb Yudin Gadol Koichen Shel Tzadik Shel Neviim Shemedam Tzur Liyotzro Shenemar Ve'eshma Kol Adam Bein Oili. Amar Reb Yehuda Bar Simon. That's Reb Yehuda Bar Shimon. Islan Kraya Achrina de Mechaber Yosem Indain. I have a better pasuk than you if you want to bring out the human. The human part of the Shenemar Val Dmus Yechezkel said Val Dmus Hakisei Dmus Kemare Adam. I saw the Dmus of the Kisei HaKavod and Shemayim Yechezkel and Avi said. He had the highest nevuahs, and out there I saw the Dmus HaAdam. So, okay, so if Yechezkel saw the Dmus HaAdam on the Kisei HaKavod, so that we can understand that if you make a sculpture of a person, it's like you're making the debus of a person. Over midbar rabba, chachmas adam tayir panav amar Reb Yosi I think. Gadol koichan shel neviim shemedamin dmus gevura shel mala l'tzuras adam. Again, the same idea. V'chein hu b'Kehillat Rabba pasuk aleph. And let's just ask the kasha. L'chayra yifle. L'chayra it's a pele. How could you compare anything to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So what it really means is, K'may shnisbar le'el, shekol hasagoseinu kaviyachol oisa yisbarach shmai, hu rak mitzad hischabrusa yisbarach le'elamais. And this is the aside we said at the beginning of Parak Beis, that we, in fact, have no concept of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The only thing we could have a little bit of a concept, Anim Zmirais V'Shiurim Erai, is the place where Hashem, or the Shekhinah, connects to this world. So where the Shekhinah connects to this world, it's in that area right there. There's an infinite area up on top of it. There's a finite area below it. But at this exact spot where there's a connection between heaven and earth, that a Makubal can go and be ba'ayin into and say, what does this look like? So now let me try to explain this, because this is all words. If you look at, I had the Hisaris Babish yesterday during Kriyas HaTorah. The Parshas Emor that we read in Shlishi is it's called in Chazal the Parshas Mumin. It tells us all about the different mumin, different blemishes that a Kohen is not allowed to have, or not allowed to have. You don't have a choice whether they have it or you don't have. But he's not allowed to do the avodah if he has those. Meaning, if his eyebrows are too thick, if he's hunchback, if he talks wrong, different. It's. I was thinking about it as we were relating, like. Mapitom, like Bishleiva, the carbon can't have a boom because you're giving something. You're giving him something which is blemished. But that the kohen who's doing the avodah big makrim the carbon, he can't have a boom. Like it sounds so un-Jewish and offensive to the handicapped. Like, why can't a person? He's doing his job. Like, we should respect him, right? There's a ramp going up to Mizbeach, right? So, like, why can't we just respect what the person does, give him a round of applause, Gavaldik, like, look at that hunchback, and he's bringing a carbon, he's being Moshe Nefesh, he's bringing a carbon. Why can't we? No, you're Pasal Avodah. By the way, it's not that we push him away and we disrespect him, but you just can't do the avodah. Sorry, you don't qualify. So what is this? This is the Israeli Air Force.
And Nesius Kapayim.
Yeah, Nesius Kapayim, the same thing.
He doesn't do Nesius Kapayim.
Doesn't do Nesius Kapayim. Many moment. Might be a little bit different over there. That's because it's distracting, but it's not because it's the avodah. But the avodah. And then looking at Chazal. And Chazal learned from here, we're talking it's not so nageya because we don't have avodah and we don't have kohanim. But for a dayan to sit in the Sanhedrin, also can't have a mum. We learn from a kohen gadol or from a kohen. I mean, has anybody been makbid that your rebbe or your rosh yeshiva should be good looking? I hope not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, why is this a virtue? It's so chitzoniistic. It seems so almost anti-Torah to worry about the kohen. Now we're worried about the dayan. Again, it's not like we're not zarek la'ashba this guy because he's a hunchback Talmud Chacham, but he can't sit on the Sanhedrin. He can't sit on the Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin is so interesting because they have to have those that are sitting on the Sanhedrin have to have so many different chachmas. They have to obviously have chachmas HaTorah. They have to be able to speak all kinds of different languages. We can understand everything. But it also says they have to understand the jokes that the foxes tell each other. All kinds of strange things that they have to know by Yocham and Zakkai, where those what do we care? His dayanis, we want his head, we want his heart. What do we need his eyebrows for? What do we care about his posture? And here's a chiddush. The chiddush is that at one level we don't care about these things. On the other hand, the kohanim and the Sanhedrin are bringing hashras hashchina into this world. And they are the kli, they are the keli, which is being machzik the shchina. And what we find is that although the keli doesn't have the kedusha per se, but sof kol sof, the keli is the kli which is machzik the shchina. And it's only correct that the Shechina should be in a keli which has perfection to it, or shouldn't at least have imperfection to it. It's understandable. Talmud Chacham shenimsa revav al bigdoi chayav misa. You're the merkava for the Shechina. If you're the merkava for the Shechina, the Hisayrus came to this because my son's a chassan. And I bought the kala. He bought the kala. I bought the kala. He bought the kala with my money. A ring, and then take the diamond and you give it to a setting. And the guy calls and he says it's ready on Thursday. So I said, okay, let the kala come pick it up. So he says, no, he doesn't have the box. Okay, this cost thousands of shekel. This cost $5. So forget the box, put it in a bag. Can't give the ring without the box. Like the keli, Chaim, what do you think? In other words, the keli, of course it's not the ring. The keli unto itself has no value. Virtually no value, yachasi to what's going into it. But the keli gives value to the tachshit which is in it, the presentation of it, the thing which is. I know the Gra says that we end off Shaar Esrei with Sim Shalom Toivo Bracha because Elucha Kli Machzik Bracha K'Bay HaShalom. That we're davening for all these things, you need a Kli. Shalom is a Kli. The Shechina can't be shari in a place where there's no Shalom. Bracha can't be shari in a place where there's no Shalom. There needs to be Shalom. There's no Shalom. There's no Shalom in the community. There's no Bracha. There's no Shechina. If there's no Shalom in your house, there's no Bracha. Shalom. Work for the Shalom. What are you working out there? You're working for the Kli. You could go to a therapist and make Shalom. It's a Gashmias thing. It's a Nefesh thing. but that shalom is the kli. So what the chiddush of what we're learning, I believe the Nefesh Hachaim is teaching here in Parshas Emor, the chiddush is that don't negate the kli. There are those that would think that the more spiritual I am, the less physical I should be. And dafka, like you should be with ripped clothes and hunchback, and it's a good look of a Ben Torah. It's not true. And I once heard this from Rav Victor Miller, Olav Shalom. He said that people think that like he was from Slobodka, that the shita of Slobodka is to be like to have a certain stolz, so you could have more effect and you have more self-esteem. He says it's not that. The shita of Slobodka was that I'm a kli for HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shechina. I'm a kli for Torah. I have to act. I have to stand accordingly. My posture has to be correct. My clothing has to be correct. My dibur has to be correct. All because it's a kli. Now, not to say that kli becomes Hashem. We don't need, and this is the whole Hagah of the Nefesh Hachaim, to argue with the Balatani. You don't have to say that the kli becomes, it gets some kind of a kedusha ba'atzmi yusai, and it becomes HaKadosh Baruch Hu itself. No, the Neshama. But the kli, Baruchi Nafshi Es Hashem. My nefesh is being mevarech the Es Hashem. David HaMelech saw himself and his life devoted to the Beis HaMikdash, etc. Saw his life devoted to the Keli, and it's ad kedei kach. It's ad kedei kach, says the Nefesh Hachaim. Here's the chap that loisasun iti elikei kesev elikei zav. That if you'll make a sculpture of a human, and it really looks like a human, you're actually making a sculpture of oisi. Because that is the present. As he says, we can't understand Hashem. We can begin to understand a little bit where the neshama meets the guf. And then we're making a picture of the guf that's being machzik the neshama. And together the package is oisi. And actually better than Chazal is the words of the Chumash itself, loisasun iti. Because iti means with me. There's a partnership, there's a shutfus between HaKadosh Baruch Hu's neshama and the guf, which within it is residing within. There's a package here. And the package is the Tzelem Elokim. The package is the Tzelem Elokim. Now, you can have a beautiful box. See, it's this is a bit opposite of what we're usually learning, because usually what we're learning is like don't stress so much the chitzonius. The main thing is the pnimius. This is also true. I make books, so I made this book, as a matter of fact, but anybody who says that people don't judge a book by its cover has never read a book. Of course, people judge a book by its cover. So what else are you going to judge a book? You're not going to say to the bookstore and read the whole book, say, okay, then I'll buy it, then you read it already. So the only thing that you're judging it by is the cover. So not every book I make is such a good book. The covers are all good, but sometimes I think that this book does not deserve this cover. So it becomes a getter of, kinezem zahav ba'af chazir. So the pasuk speaks about in Pirkei Avos, the Perek Vav, it brings this as a mashal. That sometimes a person, has a chazer which is ugly and despicable, and you put a beautiful golden nose ring on it, and you think you're making the chazer beautiful. Chazer blives a chazer. It has no beauty to it. You can't put a nezem zahav ba'af chazir. It doesn't fit. So we're always learning that stop building the external aspects of the person. Worry a little bit more about the pnimius. That's the usual limud, which has a lot of emes to it. On the other hand, here we have it's not an opposite limud, it's just the other side of the coin. That just like you can't have a chitzonius, which is incompatible with the pnimius of a person, you also can't have a neshama, which is such a gewaldige pneumius, and wrap it around with a Baal Mum. You have to have, and the package together is called Tzelem Elikim. So really the lesson goes two ways. What it really means is that don't have a chitzonius, which is, a person goes with, chaloik of a chaluk of a Talmud Chacham, and you're not a Talmud Chacham. It's very ugly to see. But it's also not right to see a Talmud Chacham who's trying to make him down dresses to be a pashut person. There has to be some kind of the right person, the stable person, is all balanced. It's all right. It's like, by the way, it's like money. Everything's like money around here. But it's like money, Like it's not a good thing to see somebody who's living like looking very, very wealthy when they're not wealthy, buying beautiful things and beautiful clothes and beautiful cars and beautiful houses. You're not wealthy, you're just going into debt. What are you doing? Live according to your means. It's also ugly to me to see somebody who could afford a tremendous amount dresses like an ani. Like, what's that? They're both imbalanced. What's the correct way is, like the Rambam says, you should live according to your means. And if you're an usher, you should act like an usher. And if you're an ani, you should act like an ani. So live according to your means. It's hard to figure out what your means are, but it means stop making pretend you're something you're not. If you're an usher, don't make pretend you're an ani. If you're an ani, don't make pretend you're an usher. So let me just finish. So the same thing is with the neshama. Like you have a neshama, and if you're Jewish, and especially if you're in touch with the neshama, you've clothed the neshama, and being that you're enclosing the neshama in the skuf, together that's creating a Tzelem Elikim, and that is the Baruchi Nafshi Es Hashem. I'm giving my nefesh over to my neshama. Mesiras nefesh. I'm handing over my nefesh. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
You mentioned Victor Miller. I heard him say once, Habi Mekabel Kollel Bais HaTalmud Yafos, that we should look at the panim, sober panim, something to the effect like you're looking at a sham. But in light of what you said, how would you?
The panim, what he said, I actually heard what he said was that the it's interesting, the panim and the panim, it's the same word, So the outside, the inside. So chachmas adam toyer panav. So the only place where you could possibly see some kind of a light of the neshama is on a person's panim. Panim is megala the panim. People can see. They can look at somebody's face. They can look at somebody's eyes. Moshe Rabbeinu had to cover his face. It was too much for the people to handle. So the panim is megala the panim, beseder. But by and large, meaning with Moshe Rabbeinu, so there was so much connection with his neshama, with his spirituality, that it was actually shining out. And on some level, everybody could, maybe you're not going to have carne or, but everybody could have this. You could see on their face. But the thing is, here's what we learned today. I'm trying to wind down. What we learned today is that don't disconnect the neshama from the body, or in more sophisticated language, nefesh, ruach, neshama. You don't want to disconnect the nefesh and the ruach, brick wall, neshama, because the neshama needs a keli. That's why Hashem made the world altogether. Without the kli of gashmius, there's nothing to hold the neshama. Not to be mistaken, and it's such a subtle point, with saying that somehow or another the guf itself becomes HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you become a Christian. It's so, it's Mizrach L'Mayrav, the Dakistic understanding of Tzimtzum. But it doesn't, you don't need to say, I'm not sure, I think this is a polemic against the Balatanya, but I don't think that necessarily the Balatanya either meant. Because, Spinoza is the opposite end of the spectrum here. But, if you're talking about pantheism, so we're talking about God as an everything. So that's the extreme level saying godliness is in this world. Or you could say, go from Spinoza to Navardic, that no, what do we have a kesher with? But the Nefesh Hachaim is telling us the Abbas, integrate. You have the world of Gashmius, it remains the world of Gashmius. You have the goof, it remains the goof. But understand that goof, that nefesh, that goof, that nefesh, that ruach is a keli for something very, very esoteric, ethereal, something which is roya ve'ein or nira, something which is mamala kol haguf. The goof that we're walking around with is a goof of the show. Can you imagine this? Just again, I would just like an interesting exercise. I'm not usually giving exercises here, but let's say you walk around all day like somebody who's if you ever did you ever walk around not like outside have to walk around with a sefer Torah, like transferring from one house to another, even here in Shul, you're a melech for that minute. Everybody's standing up for you. Everybody's kissing you.
This is the week we're now in Haid. This is an aspect of Haid.
Haid. So they Haid. So, Kal v'chomer, as we said yesterday this year, Adi Tipshay Rava says, Sefer Torah, Talmud Chacham is doch nachgrasser. It's more than walking around with a Sefer Torah. You're walking around with a Neshama. Walking around with a Neshama. So, so if you can just imagine walking around with a Neshama, I'm not talking about, give me covet, I'm walking around with a Neshama, because that person also is walking around with a Neshama. But what I was saying is, how could I do a chet? How could I take the goof with anybody while they're holding the Sefer Torah and walking from the Aron Kodesh to Bima, start talking Lashon Hara? Right now, I'm a kli machzik bracha. I'm a kli which is holding a Sefer Torah. Is anybody? I had to carry a Sefer Torah once from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael. Kept it in my lap the whole time. I don't know. I was afraid to breathe. I was afraid I certainly didn't watch the movie. Not that I usually. I'm just saying. It's lo batim to have the. So in other words, but all I was a kli. I wasn't the Sefer Torah. I was just holding the Sefer Torah. So kal v'chomer, like somebody who's walking around holding a neshama, and this is the kli. This is the kli, and our bias is the kli, the Beis HaKnesses is the kli. So it gives a whole different chashivas to the world of Gashmius, which is empty without the neshama, and still, even with the neshama, it doesn't become Spinoza de Kodesh. All it does is it's the kli for this. This is the chiddush of Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem Mesiras Nefesh El HaNeshama. I have three recordings. Let's see if any of them.
That's on the disc.
It doesn't go up. Why doesn't it?
What happened was, I